Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and tonight I want to welcome Michael Ladano to the show. We are going to take a look at the band Faith No More. Chat room's open, we are live, and we want to hear from you, so let's get started.
Grant is changing the world one track at a time on Grant's Rock Warehouse.
I was going to say, I'm trying to change the world one track at a time, but when StreamYard has an issue, that causes a situation in my mojo. But tonight I want to welcome it's going to throw me off, Michael Ladano here tonight. We're going to look at Faith No More. We're just going to look at the career, look at the records. Michael has pulled a big stack of physical media there. Of course he has. But thanks for everyone to be patient. What was weird is that this was streaming on Facebook, but it wasn't streaming on YouTube. How weird is that? All right, but we can handle it. Thanks everybody for sticking with me, and Michael and I hopefully will dazzle you with some Faith No More tantalizing information. So if anybody doesn't know Faith No More, they were an American rock band. They formed in San Francisco 1981. Originally called Faith No Man. I think they had another name before that, but founded by bassist Billy Gold, keyboardist Wade Worthington, drummer Mike Borden. Worthington was soon replaced by Roddy Bottom and guitarist Jim Martin. Eventually, original vocalist Mike Morris left, and they got a replacement, and we all know who that is, Mike Patton. So everything changed from then. So what we're going to do is just go through the records. Michael is prepared like he always does for these shows, and we're just going to keep it loose. We want to hear from you in the chat, and we're going to go from there. But before we start, let's see what is happening in the chat. Let me see how many people are giving me crap. This isn't stereo, BM.
That's me.
Logan's. I know. Mike, tell Grant to wake up. Logan, I'm gonna have to put you in a timeout. What's up, everyone? Let's talk Faith No More. All right.
Let's talk Faith No More, man. Faith No Man, Faith No More.
Here, this is funny. Have you ever heard Rand talk about Mike Patton? Yeah, about 1 million times. Kyle only knows 3 Faith No More songs. Well, good.
Buddy.
Then you're in the right show, Kyle.
We're gonna
let's get started. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank Mr. Ladano here for coming on. We're just going to talk some music. Let's get started. And I'm just going to, you know how we do this. We keep it loose. You want to just, I'm just going to let Michael start out. I gave the intro. Well, should we start on that first album or what?
Well, I'm going to rewind a little bit because I actually, I downloaded those Faith No Man tracks, and they're interesting, very prototypical. But what you did exclude was the fact that they had another singer before Chuck Mosley named Courtney Love. And there are bootlegs out there with Courtney. That's an interesting.
I did not know that.
There you go. Chuck Mosley, original lead singer, who unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago. That's Chuck Dead Center. This is the debut album, We Care a Lot, from 1986.
Hold on. I got a graphic.
You got a graphic. Let's get that graphic up.
Betcha. There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
1985, my mistake.
That's all right.
This is an interesting album. I wouldn't say it's one of their strongest albums. It's still prototypical, but you've got the heavy riffs and the keyboards. And that was what originally enticed me to Faith No More. Was like, I've never heard rock this heavy, but with such prominent keyboards. And that was unique to me. Right. This album has We Care a Lot, the title track. Very important song that they still play live today. Also has some other great tunes. There's one here called The Jungle that I highly recommend. Also, another one called As the Worm Turns, which they frequently play with Mike Patton on lead vocals. The Mike Patton version to me is definitive, but As the Worm Turns, the original version is pretty good. There's also a tune on here called Mark Bowen, which they've done live with Mike Patton. And funny fact is Mark Bowen was the original guitar player, replaced by Jim Martin. And there's actually a song on here right after Mark Bowen called Jim, which is an instrumental, a classical instrumental piece, really nice. But it strikes me as funny that Mark Bowen and Jim follow each other on the track listing, just like they did in real life. Interesting album again. I think it showed promise, but they weren't all the way there yet. And Chuck Mosley's voice is an acquired taste.
It's an acquired taste. It's not all that hot.
Let's lay it out. Let's be honest. It's an acquired taste. But I think here, I put the back cover in upside down. But on this album, which they started working with Matt Wallace on production duties, Introduce Yourself, I think this is coming to form. I give this album a 10 out of 10. I think Martin may have given it a 10 out of 10 in Riff Kills Man. And that's an alternate cover right there, which there's a few different covers. The cassette as well. But I love this album, and I think there's not a weak tune on here. There's some really good stuff. There's some really funny stuff. Faster Disco is a great intro. They start to use Chuck's voice a little bit more effectively by layering it. There's another tune on here called Death March, which I find really, really funny. He's talking about getting on a bus and he doesn't have 75 cents, so he's going to skate to the beach. I'm just so entertained by that. Honestly, there's not a bad song on this album. I recommend Spirit. I recommend the re-recorded version of We Care a Lot. That's updated lyrically and musically on this album. And this is the one that became the hit single. There was a video on Much and MTV. I think this is the starting point. This is where you want to start with Faith No More. I don't know, Grant, you're hemming and hawing.
I mean, it's okay. I don't know if I want to start there. If I'm going to rank these out of the 7 albums, I'd probably put this at like number 6. I think Introduce Yourself, Any Song, Chinese Arithmetic, I think that's the peaks. But, compared to the first record, this kind of refined the sound. But it does lay the ground. You were right. It lays the groundwork to what's coming. There's humor, there's energy. But not until Mike Patton got here did things really take off. And we're going to get to it. I think things really took off on Angel Dust, to be quite honest. I think that we'll get to it.
We'll get there.
You may be different, but I think I would hold off on this, me personally. And we're just talking music here. That's all we're doing. I would hold off. I would commit yourself to the Mike Patton stuff first. And then, if you like that, dive into this. But we all hear it differently. And we're just here to talk music. That's all we're here for.
Now, the reason I say maybe this is a good starting point is because I'm assuming that you fine gentlemen out there have already heard at least 3 Mike Patton songs. I think Kyle said he only knows 3. But, I think there's some great stuff on this record. I really do. And I liked it pretty much since day one. So I'm a big fan of this record, although I will put it out there. Chuck Mosley's voice is an acquired taste.
And that's part of the problem. Once I got Mike, who could sing, I'm pretty sure Mike Patton could sing anything you threw at him. We're going to talk about it on these records, but we looked at Mr. Bungle. George Lemieux was on the channel. We looked at Mr. Bungle. That's one facet. Mike Patton has a lot of different, there's a lot of different bands that he's appeared in. So with each band, he has a certain treatment, so to speak, to them. This is a different animal than Mr. Bungle. I would say that probably Faith No More probably opens Mike Patton up to a lot more different styles. But we'll talk about it. I mean, this is a band. How are we going to do this in an hour? I have no idea, but we're going to give it a try. But go ahead, Michael. Go on with the next thing.
I suppose we need to get there. We need to talk about this one, which is the album, right?
The album, yeah.
It's not really the album, but for laymen and people who only listen to the radio, this is the album. I remember 1989, they came out with that first single from Out of Nowhere, and it didn't grab me. I mean, like I said, I loved that sound of the keyboards with the guitars, but they were just that's a weird video. Mike Patton's kind of like doing this like a rooster, and it's just.
Well, it was, it was way different for the time. I will agree.
Yeah. And considering that I was rocking Motley Crue, Dr. Feelgood that same period of time, that didn't jump at me. It wasn't until Epic came out. And I think, again, a big part of that was Roddy's keyboards. They're huge on Epic. They're massive. And I just decided right then and there, I like this band, even though the guitar player has like this weird balding center part and he wears 2 pairs of glasses at the same time. Wow. And, even though the drummer has funny hair for a rock drummer, I was like, I like these guys. And I was on for the ride. From that point forward, Epic got me and I was on for the ride. I bought the album and I took the time to absorb it and really appreciate it and really appreciate what they were doing here, which is a lot of diversity. Again, though, the vocals, Mike Patton is doing this nasal kind of singing on a lot of it that he dropped after this album. He didn't find his real voice until Angel Dust. But, I mean, it's not like he's singing crap.
No. Right.
He is singing with that affected nasally tone on most of these songs. But there's some incredible stuff on here. Zombie Eaters needs to be centered out as this dark, loungy tune that's just so unexpected. But then you've got something like Surprise You're Dead, which is like thrash. It's like they were listening to all their California thrash band buddies and trying to compete with them. We got some pop stuff on here, pop rock stuff like Underwater Love and The Morning After are pretty accessible. And a weird, you know what? I said something wrong. It's Edge of the World. That's the loungy song, not Zombie.
That's all right. We're live, we can make mistakes live.
The cassette has had the tracks in different order. Edge of the World was at the end of side 1, but on CD it ends the album. So.
All right, real quick, Michael, while you're on that record, what is that version? Is that the deluxe edition? What are you holding up?
Okay,
is there bonus tracks? Let everybody know in case they're interested.
There's so many bonus tracks. There are 11 bonus tracks, including several songs that were on their live video, live at the Brixton Academy, but didn't make it onto the CD. So those tracks can be had on this bonus disc. And you also get As the Worm Turns live at the Brixton. You get a couple songs that didn't make the album, the Cowboy song and the Grade. This is a great set. But yeah, also Necessary. This is a great concert. And this is the one from which that live version of War Pigs comes from that is frequently heard. And the 2 bonus tracks in here, the Grade and the Cowboy song, are freaking great. They're freaking great, especially the Cowboy song. Yeah.
Yeah, but this was recorded on that whole Real Thing tour, I think. But it took a year for it to come out.
Yeah.
I think it's probably worth getting. I kind of ranked my. I didn't ask Michael to do a ranking, but I kind of ranked mine. I didn't put any live records in here, but I think if you like The Real Thing, I think you might like this too, to hear how they do it live. So would you recommend this too if you're, Yeah,
100%.
Okay.
100%. I mean, it's not a long live album. It's 8 tracks plus 2.
I think it's like almost like an EP.
It's almost an EP. It's not too much to digest. It's a legendary gig for them because it was the home video that was my only way to see Faith No More live back then. And, they were a bizarre band live, and I'm not, well, thank you. What can I say? I'm obviously an enthusiastic Faith No More fan. I was collecting their stuff right from the moment, that I got into them. Here's 3 different versions of the Epic single, including a Japanese one. You gotta show off the Japanese imports.
Yeah, I saw that in your stack. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I think that there's a lot to love on The Real Thing and the whole Real Thing era. Another track that came out during this sort of overall period of time was from the Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey soundtrack, a song called A Perfect Crime. And I listened to that a number of times in the car today as well. And it's just really good, accessible Faith No More. There's a very few of their songs that are like totally accessible, but Perfect Crime would be one of them. Mainstream movie. Jim Martin was actually in that film. He played himself. So, Faith No More, they were a big-ish band at that time. And they kind of knew that this sound wasn't them. They were sick to death by the end of the tour. They couldn't stand playing these songs.
Because you know what? When I listened to it, back in the day when Epic was out, 1989, I thought, wow, this is kind of like a Red Hot Chili Peppers clone to some degree. Don't base it all on Epic, though.
No.
The real thing's very keyboard heavy. It's very 80s without that 80s drum sound. So when I listen to it, it doesn't sound dated to me. It sounds great. It's very keyboard heavy, and I think if you want more of a guitar-based thing, this probably might not be a record. But this is the introduction to Mike Patton. He came in. This record was basically done, but he came in and did the vocals.
Yeah, that's right. You can actually get versions of some of these songs with Chuck singing on Faith No More compilations.
And you mentioned this before. I don't think Mike had come into his own. He's coming in just to do the vocals on this. I think he does a great job. I think he comes into his own on the next record because think about it. That's a fully realized group effort. Yes. I mean, yeah, the real thing is too, except for Mike really wasn't a part of it. He just came in and did his thing. Great record. You cannot deny Epic was not a big single, big hit. You could not escape it in 1989. But I think the other tracks on here are like Falling to Pieces from Out of Nowhere. It's very dynamic. I think, Mike Patton did a great job on this with what he had to do. He came in and made it his own. I have no problems with it. I rate this record pretty high. This was the breakthrough album. Yeah. So I don't have a problem with it. I think it's fine. But as we keep going through the catalog, we'll find that there are other records that are
better. Let's say
better and better. All right.
But I will say one thing about this album, as much as I do love it, that is crap cover art. Always has been, always will be, and even the band don't know what the hell it is. Crap cover art from a band that doesn't usually have crap cover art, as we will see.
See, I shouldn't have mentioned Red Hot Chili Peppers. Now everybody's on a Red Hot Chili Peppers kick.
I understand there was a rivalry, but I never paid any attention to that.
Was there really?
I think so.
Did Faith No More ever play with socks on their members? I don't know.
No. They've done a lot of weird stuff on stage, which we won't get into because this is a family show. But,
right, exactly.
But no, the socks they didn't do. No.
Mike Borden is a colossal, amazing drummer. He's an ape. He's an ape arm failing blizzard of Brian. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. It sounds like he's a great drummer. Okay,
I can tell you what he's talking about. What Mike Borden used to do is he used to take his drumsticks and flip them around. He would hold the narrow end and hit the drum with the thick end, and that's why he has such a unique tone.
That's why.
So there you go. Yeah.
So, BM Bolt, why did Anthony Kiedis dislike Mike Patton?
I'd like to know that myself.
Faith No More proved heaviness with a single bass drum, no double bass needed. What double bass is it needed?
No.
Not really, you don't need it. Or anything, really.
That's not Mike Borden's sound at all, double bass.
Ernesto, I know he likes Mike Patton. Mike Patton and Rand are like this. All right, what's your? Let's keep going through the catalog.
Okay.
We can talk to the peanut gallery all night, Michael. So
obviously there was a lot of pressure on the next record, and this is where problems started to happen. The three core guys of the band, writing-wise, are Mike Borden, Billy Gould, and Roddy Bottum. They would gather together. They started jamming and coming up with songs. They mailed the tapes off to Jim Martin, who would add his guitar parts. And I understand that there was friction, like come on, Jim, that sucks, that kind of thing. And that's when Jim started to become estranged from the band. And that's why Angel Dust is the final album with Jim. What a great album cover. Talk about
Oh my God. As far as I'm concerned, Michael, I don't know what you're going to say, but I think this is a masterpiece.
It is. It is. I thought so from day one when I first got it. And I think it was like my birthday or something of 92 when this came out. And I was like, this is so different. I have never heard music like this before.
But it's different. It's much more like Bungle. If anybody's heard Mr. Bungle, but there's melody in Bungle, but there's a lot more Mike Patton influence, I think, on this.
Mr. Bungle's way more frantic than this. Again, there's diversity on this album. There's diversity in the weirdness. And I remember infamously Drew Masters of Meat Magazine gave this a 2 out of 5 star rating, which I don't know, Drew. I hope you've come to regret that, because I heard it and I was like, what is Drew high on? This is a 5 out of 5.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it before or since. And they spent a lot of time in the studio overdubbing, and they started incorporating samples. Roddy started using samples quite heavily, and you can really hear that on singles like Anything's Ruined. There's not a bad tune on here, although there are some that may wear out sooner than others. There's a song called RV, where basically Mike Patton's like a white trash trailer park dad doing a speaking Tom Waits kind of thing.
Yeah, but it works.
He can do that Tom Waits thing quite easily, and that's the first time you hear him do it. He didn't do that kind of thing on the Mr. Bungle album.
Well, you make a good point, Mike, because you look at Robin Zander. They call him the man of 1,000 voices.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Mike Patton.
Man of 1,000,000 voices.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Brilliant. He can sing anything you throw out at him. So, just saying.
Highlights include the opening track, Land of Sunshine, the lyrics of which were taken entirely from Chinese fortune cookies. That's a fact. The second track, Caffeine, they played that on MTV Live. It's insane. It's insane. I can't think of a better word.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Midlife Crisis, great single, incredibly catchy chorus, really weird kind of off-kilter verses where he sings the last syllable of a line on the first syllable of the next line. It's so weird. Everything's Ruined was a single. What was the other one? Small Victory was a single. There's a song on here called Crack Hitler, which has some incredible wah-wah pedal stuff by Jim Martin. Crack Hitler. Could you call a song Crack Hitler in 2024? I don't know. I feel dirty saying the word.
Well, you are dirty, Michael.
This is a dirty album. There's a song in here called Jizz Lobber. There's a song here called Be Aggressive.
You're going to get me thrown off.
I'm going to get you thrown off. I think I'm just reading song titles, Grant. There's a song called Be Aggressive, which is not going to say what it's about. This is a must-have album. This is their peak. Although they did great stuff after that we'll talk about as well. This is their peak.
I think it's great.
They did a new studio re-recording of As the Worm Turns, which you can get on this deluxe. They have a lot of live stuff on here that's really good as well from singles. Mm-hmm. This is the one where they play Mark Bowen from the first album live. But this is just... Ernesto, did you know that Jim Martin was at one point considered for replacing Dave Mustaine in Metallica? Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
This is just a great album. I'm so enthusiastic about it. I'm having a hard time kind of diving in.
Hold on, Ladano. Guess who's here? Rand Kelly. We must...
Rand, and I think he is...
Where have you been, Rand? Gee, many Christmas.
I think he likes Mike Patton.
He loves it. They are besties.
Well, there you go. There's my singles collection from this album. I was in love with this album from day one. I played it like every day when it came out in 92. In fact, I got 2 albums the same week. I got that and Nobody Said It Was Easy by the Four Horsemen, which is diametrically opposed kind of rock to this. But I was like, this is the best week of my life. I got both of these albums and they're both freaking incredible. Like, this was a life-changing album for me. Yep, Kyle, that's exactly what you think.
Kyle, you might get thrown off the internet. Oh my God. Yeah, I think this is, well, Michael, I think this is their peak.
This
For
is
me,
the
the high
magnum opus.
for me the highlights midlife crisis, a small victory, caffeine. Um, and this is also considered by a lot of the fans, a lot of the critics, the high point. Because think about it, it's very ambitious, it's very experimental, but both. It's ambitious, experimental, but excessive enough that if you were a Faith No More fan from before, you can grab a hold of it. Um, but considering 1992, what else sounded like this?
Nothing.
Nothing.
You did
And
have
if you,
bands throwing that funk sound into the mix, but this is the album where Faith No More said, "We're dropping the funk bass and we're doing something completely different."
and
And they just did
Mike
it.
Patton, as brilliant as he is on the Real Thing, does not sing like that on this record. It's
No,
almost like a totally different vocalist. But what he does here and what the band does, it just goes to show you that the chemistry in this band when Michael Patton came on solidified it. Because
yes,
look at Angel Dust, brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
and you can tell that this is the first album where he was really writing with the band, and he found his voices plural on this album. Um, he does stuff, especially in the track Caffeine, that is beyond the pale. You know, like it would just, if I tried to do anything that he does in the song Caffeine, I wouldn't be speaking for another week. I would just destroy. Hey, thanks for joining, Peter. And yes, Kyle, delete your search history now. This is just this is his peak voice. You can notice a change in the voice after this. It just it's natural. This is the peak. What can I say? But it's not necessarily, as much as I'm praising it, not necessarily the first step to take, because there's more accessible stuff to be had than Angel Dust. Like I said, Drew Masters gave it a 2 out of 5. Very respectable rock journalist, Drew Masters.
That seems low.
It does seem low, but I totally get why he said that, because when he put it on, it made no sense to him. Like, what the hell am I listening to? A lot of these songs sound disjointed until you really start to absorb them. Then you realize everything's in the right place. It's meticulous, like a Captain Beefheart album. It sounds like chaos, but everything's in its place for a reason.
So Rand asks, why did they cover War Pigs by Black Sabbath? Did they run out of material?
I don't know. I wonder if that was a record label thing. I don't know the answer to that question.
Look at Rand. I thought he was a Mike Patton fan. Look at him trying to destroy the band here tonight.
I don't think it was a matter of running out of material, because they did have excess material, judging by the demos and the other tracks that made the live album.
Rand's trying to stir the pot. The Wizard loves War Pigs.
It's even better on the live album.
All right, DC said they just liked it. All right, fair enough. That makes sense.
Good enough reason.
Well, the thing is, you don't know with a lot of these bands. You know, there's been a lot of bands that have forced bands to do stuff.
Yeah.
You know. And look, BM Bolt, I like their War Pigs. I'm good with that.
Check out the live version.
Yeah, there you go. So if I was going to rank, let's see. Angel Dust, I'm not ranking them, but if I was going to rank it, Angel Dust is number 1. The Real Thing's number 2.
Yeah.
That 1985 album, I would probably, I'm just saying, that would come in at number 7. For me, we're all different. We're all different. But they have to go somewhere if I'm ranking them.
Yeah. My least favorite album is still to come, but we'll get there.
Here, look at this young Logan who's 20. He gives it a 10.5 out of 10. So he gets it. All right.
I believe the youth are the future, Logan.
They are.
Well,
maybe. He might be funk confused. Anyway, go ahead.
I was going to say that they did one more thing with Jim Martin before he split. And that's this EP right here, Songs to Make Love To. Isn't that's another cover that will get us banned. They covered Easy by the Commodores, and they did a great freaking job of it. It sounds so authentic up until Mike Patton goes, ew, at the midpoint. It has one of Jim Martin's best solos. They do a polka on here called Das Schützenfest. And it's like he sings in German. What can I say? And they do a cover of Let's Lynch the Landlord by the Dead Kennedys.
Which is a classic.
I paid a lot of money to get a cassette tape with that song on it before they reissued it on this.
I thought someone mentioned the Commodores. I can't find the track now. But there you go. That cover, which, wait, what? What, the one he held up? Which one, Roger?
Thanks,
bold.
Roger.
I think Patton was a Zappa fan. Do you think that's true?
Oh, I do believe so. I 100% believe so. But cool. Yeah, there's a couple different versions of this song. I can't keep them all straight, but I'll have them all in front of me here tonight.
It's fine.
But then Jim left.
Jim left.
Or was fired. I don't know the story, but he wasn't happy with the creative process on Angel Dust. He felt squeezed out. And they got in from Mr. Bungle, Trey Spruance from Mr. Bungle.
Brilliant.
And yes, brilliant. Unfortunately, he was averse to touring, so they replaced him by the tour. But with Trey, they put out, in my opinion, another 2 in a row, maybe even 3 in a row or 4 in a row, brilliant albums. King for a Day, Fool for a Lifetime. This is different. Again, complete left turn again. They basically dropped the keyboards. Roddy Bottom said to the guys, I just want to do something that slams from start to finish. And so Roddy picked up the guitar and started playing guitar on most of these tracks. There's very little keyboard. And that shocked me when I got and it's very dry kind of sounding rock. The drum sound is very dry. Trey Spruance is a completely different kind of guitar player from Jim Martin, who is very, power chords. Trey is of course it does.
Of course it does.
Trey
Keep going, Michael. Sorry.
Guitar player. I don't even know how to describe his guitar playing on this except manic and frantic. But there's so many. Put. For the third album in a row, though, diversity. There's so much going on here. The very last song, Just a Man. I don't even know how to describe that song, except it sounds like something that comes out of like an AM radio in the 1970s.
It reminds these. I'm sorry. I love these live shows. It really reminds you of your youth in Youngstown, Ohio. Okay. All right. Nice. Oh my God.
But King for a Day, Fool for a Lifetime reminds Roger of himself.
Okay. All right. That's cool. I'm good.
No issue,
I'm good with that.
Roger. But
no issue.
I've got a lot of stuff here with this album. It took a while for me to really appreciate because it is more monolithic.
Mm-hmm.
It's diverse, but less so. It's more, as I said, slamming from start to finish. The opening track, Get Out, is like, I think I heard Mike Borden say that song is backbreaking to play. Like next to
probably
impossible
is.
to play.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite tune on this album, Grant, is track 4, The Gentle Art of Making Enemies.
I made notes of that. That's one of my favorite tracks on it.
I cannot repeat the lyrics.
Because we're a good Christian show.
Kyle will Google them.
I mean, in fact, after this show's over, Michael and I will be joining each other in a prayer group.
That's right.
In a circular fashion around a fire and reciting hymns. And, well, it's kind of a private thing. But, yes, this is a very Christian-oriented show. So
it is. And when we say faith no more, what we just mean is more faith.
Exactly.
Oh, my God. Anyway, I don't know what to say. This album is crazy. It, just as much as the previous album, but just more slamming guitar forward. Like, I don't know if there's a single sample on this record. Probably not.
I don't think so. It seems very, I don't want to say organic, but I will say this. I think the production on here is absolutely stunning. And I don't have this in front of me, but do you know who was the producer on this?
Andy Wallace.
Of course. It sounds very much like Nevermind. Well, I don't know. But it's got that It does. It sounds really good. Whatever Andy Wallace does, it always sounds good. I'll give you that. Andy Wallace. I mean, Nirvana was never happy with Nevermind. They thought
Right.
his mix on that was a bit too slick, but I think it did well. Look, it made him a lot of money.
This
Just
isn't
saying.
slick. This is not slick.
No, this is a different production, but I think it works out. Of course, you were talking about it. I think highlights are made digging the grave, evidence, the gentle art of enemies. Um, it shows a lot of versatility here. And of course, they have a wide range of musical styles, and it really is apparent here. Um, it's it, it's eclectic, strong songwriting. The sequencing on this record's great. The production is great. If I was going to rank it, I put this at number 3. I think this, among fans, I think, isn't this a bit of a dark horse album? I mean, it
Yeah.
doesn't get quite the attention that the rest of the catalog does.
Right. It kind of stiffed at retail, even though there were a bunch of
Right.
singles. It didn't really do well. Didn't sell well for me when I worked there.
Mhm.
I mean, it is different for Faith No More. It's almost like they were purposely trying to just, catch us if you can, see if you can keep up with us. I'm
Exactly.
sure that a lot of that was just them challenging themselves as musicians, but the end result was they did whatever the hell they wanted to, whether it was commercial or not, and they basically made 3 albums in a row that sound nothing alike. So, is that career suicide? Do you want to call that career suicide? Maybe. The next album,
Well,
the next album was, I don't know what we want to say about it. We're not quite there
well,
yet.
I'm assuming that after the real thing, which I'm going to consider now, whether you consider that a creative peak or not, I don't. But that pretty much was I don't want to say most successful. I'm rating it pretty high. I think it's a great record. There's a lot more commercial uh, leanings than what came before, or maybe what came after. But now I don't know what I was going to say. What was I couldn't keep track of my thought. I
We were
lost my
ranking
own
these
thought.
things and talking about the direction of the band.
Right. Well, if okay, I get on a tangent, ladies and gentlemen. You know how I do this. Um, but the real thing was probably the commercial peak, correct? These
Yeah,
records probably
absolutely.
sold less
They
and
did.
less as they went because I don't think Angel Dust was near as successful as the real thing, correct?
Afraid not. But,
Yeah.
they knew that going in. I think there was a story that, the record executives, when they heard Angel Dust, there was somebody said, I hope nobody bought a new house this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. But if I'm going to since I'm ranking them, so far I've got Angel Dust at number 1, The Real Thing at
Yep.
number 2, King for a Day 3. And then, well, I'm not going to go any further, but this is such a strong record. It's like a perfect mix of eclecticness, strong songwriting, good production. Really, this could fluctuate. This is really a great record. It needs a lot more love. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. And I think for me, thinking about it, this is my number 2 after Angel Dust. I like
Okay.
it that much. But like I said, and the same with Angel Dust, it takes some listening. You have to listen. You have to let it work its way into your life, and that's all there is to it.
Yep, exactly.
They got a guy on guitar named Dean Menta to replace Trey Spruance. Dean Menta, I think, was a roadie, was like the guitar tech. But he didn't last. Dean didn't last. They did one track in the studio with him, and I'm struggling to remember which one it was.
It's okay. It's all right.
But they only did one track in the studio with Dean, and then they got the guy that has been, I guess, with Faith No More for the longest stretch of years, which would be John Hudson. And to me, John Hudson is a great utility player for this band, but he doesn't have, like, I struggle to hear the identity that I get out of Trey Spruance and that I get out of Jim Martin.
Mhm.
But he sounds like Faith No More. Like when you hear him play live with Faith No More, it sounds like Faith No
Mhm.
More. he can do it. It's just I'm not getting that. I don't know what his sound is. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I totally get it.
He's done 2 studio albums, and the first with John Hudson was the aforementioned in the comments album of the year. And
Yes.
confession, guys, I'm really sorry, but you have to have a least favorite, and this is my least favorite. It has never spoken to me. There's probably one song in here that I really like, which is Last Cup of Sorrow. And other than that, I can't say. I listened to it again this week, and I can't say that I really remember how many of these songs actually go. It's very dark, this album, very dark. Mike Patton is singing in a low voice for most of it, very low for a lot of the album, and I think that kind of threw me a little bit, you know? It wasn't, and again, these guys change direction on every album. No two sound alike really, except for maybe the first 2. And they're going to lose somebody at some point on one of these albums. And I think they lost me on this album. I think this is the one where I was just like, you know what? I cannot, that's arguable. That's arguable. That's going back to the second album. I thought it was really ballsy of them to call it album of the year, because I think they knew that they were doomed. I think they knew this was their last album. I really do.
You think that? Do you consider this like a contractual record?
No, I just don't think that the band had hit their natural end yet. Probably took one more tour to split them up. I remember reading ridiculous stories about Mike Borden and the other guys in the band complaining about how chintzy he was, and he would get like a free pair of shoes for an endorsement deal, and then he would go to the store and return those pair of shoes for like a refund. Like, that's how chintzy he was, and irritating the other. It just sounds like they were getting on each other's nerves. They'd had enough of each other, It happens. It happens.
Not unusual.
And when albums underperform, it makes the situation more tense. Fingers get pointed. People get blamed. Nu metal was popping up, and Faith No More floundered a bit, 100%, because you had a band called Korn, and a band called System of a Down, and these guys were really taking aspects of what Faith No More did and going in different directions. Another band called Incubus, I think, owed a lot to Faith No More. He's 100% right, Brian is. You saw these other bands overtaking Faith No More, and it's like they must have been pissed off when they heard a band like Korn, and they must have been like, wait a second, how come, where's our recognition? I think there must have been some of that. I felt that way as a fan. That where's this band's recognition? They didn't seem to be getting it when all these other bands that seemed to be influenced by Mike Patton were having huge success. Just my opinion.
Hey, Ernest, nothing wrong with Manson. Well, all right. I'll leave it at that.
There was one last sort of collaboration before the band came to an end. Sparks versus Faith No More. This town.
Oh, I love it.
Both of us, yeah. I listened to this again today. Worth getting. It's definitely worth getting. And this is sort of like the swan song for the first run of Faith No More. That was it. The end. Sayonara. Mike Borden, the Osbourne's band.
All right, Michael, I think that's well put. Let me just make me personally, album of the year, I don't have any problems with it. Ashes to Ashes, Last Cup of Sorrow, Strip Search, for me, are the highlights. This record received mixed reviews, but I think as time has gone by, we're talking 1997, I think there's a much more of an appreciation for this. I think what it does, the highlight that I think here is this record blends alternative rock with electronic and experimental. And I think it does a good job at it. Now, whether you like it in the Faith No More community, it is what it is. But I do want to mention this. I don't think this band has really put out a bad record ever.
I
You
wouldn't
just
call
need-
this a bad record. No.
It's not a bad record. It's different. Now, whether you like how the band is, morphing and evolving, that's a different problem. But this is not a bad album by any means. In fact, when I first heard it, and then I heard the electronic experimental drums and things like that, I went, that's kind of cool. Because what they did, these guys are all brilliant. And if they do something like that, it does tend to communicate to the learner, to the listener. Talking about computer stuff, it communicates to the listener. I didn't have much of a problem making that transition. Maybe some other people do, but I think it's a good record. But if I'm listing it or ranking it, Michael, I'm going to put it at number 4. There are other records that are better.
Yeah.
But it's nothing in this catalog's bad. I don't want to give anybody that impression that, they're a top-notch band, or they were. So.
4 is pretty high. That's
4's
one
good.
out of the top 3. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Well, we'll get to it. All right. Yeah, I think 4's not bad. All right, I'll give it that. Look, Ernesto, Ashes to Ashes is a great. Yes, it is.
There's a
go
couple neat compilations to be had for those who like to start with compilations. Both of these two have value. Who Cares a Lot, the greatest hits, and of course, the very best definitive ultimate greatest hits collection. Both of these have value. They both have exclusive bonus material on them. If you like compilations, go this way. But Faith No More, they were one of those bands that just seemed like they would never reunite, It seemed like Mike Patton had a million solo projects. People mentioned Fantomas. People talked about Lovage and Dillinger Escape Plan, all that stuff. Mike Patton was busy. And if you were a fan of Faith No More, you could probably get your fix with one of those Mike Patton projects. Tomahawk, maybe. These are projects that would appeal to fans of certain aspects of Faith No More. And it just looked like the band would never reunite. But they did.
Mm-hmm.
And they were great.
I have not. I haven't seen that.
This is a bootleg. This is a bootleg.
Oh, can we show that here? I don't know.
Of course we can. Of course we can.
We might upset people.
I hope not.
Okay.
They're reunited with the John Hudson lineup.
Mogan, I do care.
Grant cares a lot.
I care a lot. Anyway, go ahead. So that got back together. They produced. Well, they did some gigs.
They did some gigs, and eventually, they said, "You know what? Maybe we can make an album." And lo and behold, I didn't think we'd ever see the day, but here's Soul Invictus.
There it
Faith
is.
No More, 2015. So that's a gap. Last album was 1997, so it's an 18-year gap here. And it's almost like they didn't miss a beat. You can hear the age in Mike's voice compared to 1997. That's anybody. But did they skip a beat? I don't think so. I think that this sounds like the next Faith No More album. And I got to tell you, I love Soul Invictus. I don't know where I'd rank it, Grant. I don't know where I would rank it. But
well, I know where I ranked it.
Well, where did you rank it, Grant?
I put it at number 5.
Okay.
So I've got, just to reiterate, I got Angel Dust, The Real Thing, King for a Day, Album of the Year, and then Soul Invictus. The reason I put it there, I think it's a triumphant return to form. Look, after all that time, they still have that signature sound. When you hear it, correct, it's Faith No More. But, they put some fresh elements here. But the thing is, what came before it to me was so great. Other than my 6 and 7, I have to put it somewhere. This is not a bad record. They have not made a bad album ever. I would probably start out with something else before this and work to this level. So that's what I'm trying to say.
Yes. There's some weird stuff on here as expected. There's a song about I don't know, Mother something, with Roddy Bottom doing the verses, the lead vocal verses. It's a weird tune. I don't know how to describe that song, but it's weird. And then it just, through the weirdness, there's this then triumphant Mike Patton chorus where he's singing in full voice. He does use the low voice on a lot of this album, but he does burst into the full voice, the triumphant anthemic Mike Patton voice on a lot of this album too.
Yeah.
And there's one tune where he does this crazy sort of cut and paste thing with his vocals. Go, 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 go. It's total cut and paste, and it's genius. And that comes from, where did I put it? That comes from way back on his solo debut album, Adult Themes for Voice. That was what this album is. This is all cut and paste tape of his voice doing stuff. And that's what that go, 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 go comes from. It comes from this, that's the start of it right here.
Yeah.
Now, Faith No More, they haven't done an album since.
Nope.
And Mike Patton was forced to take a mental health break from touring a few years ago, but they are back. They are still back in the 90s. You would never thought Faith No More would be an active band in 2024, but
why not?
They're still one of my favorite bands. And I got to tell you, one of my favorite things about doing these shows with you is that during the week leading up to the show, I get to listen to all these albums frequently, more than once each. And I have had such a joy rediscovering Faith No More this week with you. I love this band. I have loved them for 34 years, I guess. And I will continue to love them till the day I'm dust. There's no band out there that sounds like Faith No More. There never will be. No. This is a band that essentially it's the four individuals of Mike Patton, Mike Borden, Roddy Bottom, and Billy Gould that make the signature sound now. You got those guys, and there's nobody out there who sounds like any of them. Think about it. What drummer sounds like Mike Borden? What bassist sounds like Billy Gould?
Nobody.
There aren't any. So that's 100%. Why there cannot ever be another Faith No More, even though there have been many, many bands coming up in their shadow, as we've discussed. There's never going to be another actual. Never. No. Nope. This is the best. You guys need to listen to Faith No More. Peter Jones, I can't guarantee you'd like them, but worth a shot.
Yeah, but right? The thing is that they're very, they cover a lot of different genres.
Right.
Peter Jones likes to rock out hard. Faith No More rock out hard.
It's funny. On the way to work today, I was wondering if Peter Jones liked Mike Borden as a drummer, because he is a very different kind of drummer.
No. Peter Jones gave up.
Yeah. Well,
close-minded. Hey, I'm just calling it as I see it.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, it's all in good fun. I'm not ragging on anybody. Really, okay, I wanted to bring this up. I have to find it. Okay. Fun fact. The first thing Mike did when he got his money, he bought his parents a new house. That's a good boy. I found out that his former boss at the works, he's a great guy. Is Mike Patton? Yeah.
Rand, how come you haven't got Mike Patton on Grant's Rock Warehouse yet?
They're like this.
Right. So
literally, I think Mike is renting a room from Rand, but Rand never gives me much detail about it. I'm pretty sure
Mike's probably sitting next to him right now.
Ernesto. Brian, don't you hate it when pop stars wear... Ernesto, what are you talking about?
You know what? I don't care, because it's all advertising for groups that I love.
Exactly. Oh, look, Prog Rock Dude. Yeah, you're late. We're almost ready to wind it up. But real quick, I'm just going to give... really, Logan, are you on crack? What is going on with you young kids? All right, I'm just going to rank my records real quick. I didn't have Michael do his, but if this is anybody getting turned on to Faith No More, this is my ranking. Number 7, We Care a Lot, 1985. Number 6, Introduce Yourself, 1987. Number 5, Soul Invictus, 2015. 4, Album of the Year, 1997. 3, King for a Day, 95. 2, The Real Thing. And number 1, Angel Dust. Angel Dust, like you, Mike and I were talking about, absolutely brilliant.
I'm going to try to rank mine. I'm going to try.
I would say start out with Angel Dust or The Real Thing, and you won't be sorry. You know,
Okay.
Both 2 different animals.
Okay, I got them. Here's my ranking.
All right, go ahead.
You might not like it.
No, we're honest here in the warehouse. Go ahead and rank them.
Okay, so I'm going to count up from the bottom. So,
okay.
Sorry, Album of the Year, it just doesn't speak to me.
Okay.
We Care a Lot. The foundations are here. There's some great material on here, but let's face it, they only had one way to go, and that was up.
Okay.
Soul Invictus, a great comeback, highly recommended, but obviously don't go for this first. Go for this maybe third or fourth after you've got.
Yeah, I think you'd be safe there. You'll be safe.
The big album, The Real Thing.
Really? That low?
Afraid so, because, like I said, I'm a big fan of Introduce Yourself. I really think that this album...
okay. Right.
You know what? This album is under, I think it's just under 30 minutes. It's all tight, fast, short pounders. So Introduce Yourself, King for a Day, Fool for a Roger.
Okay.
And of course, Angel Dust at number 1. That's my ranking.
Well, we're a little bit off, but we're unanimous as far as, well, King for a Day is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you listed Album of the Year low or anything. I think it's a good ranking, but yeah, Faith Angel Dust, absolute masterpiece. Everything. Yeah. Check every box. Ding,
this
ding,
is the
ding.
One that I went out and I bought an import on vinyl when it was new in 1992. And had a bonus track on the vinyl too, incidentally. But it's like, that's how much I love these guys.
Oh no, Ernesto. Go ahead. Jesus.
That's how much I like these guys, is that I had to buy that vinyl for that one song. And all those singles that you saw that we showed off on this show, you know, like I've been collecting this band from day one. That's how much I love them. End of story.
Here we go. We're going to G-Tech, I'm going to go back and listen to Angel Dust again. That album never did much for me, but it's been a while. Mike and I would never steer you down the wrong road. This is the thing. It might need more than one listen. Sit down with it, put some headphones on, lay in bed, listen to some music, listen to it a couple of times, and just let yourself go. Take it all in. Correct, Michael?
Yeah.
Come on.
I think most of my listening experiences to Angel Dust when it was new was on a Walkman via the headphones. So replicate that experience. Lie down on your back on a couch, get comfy, close your eyes, hit play, go.
Wait a minute. Mike, you'll be 50 next week? Oh my goodness.
Young fella.
My God. Let me get my walker out.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for making me feel like crap. Wrap this dog up. Yep, Logan, I got another show. So we got our rankings. Michael, do you have anything else to add? All we're here to do, ladies and gentlemen, is turn people on to Faith No More.
Yeah.
I'm glad we revisited this because I think it's a great catalog. Let's be honest. Great catalog.
Roger, spell my name right, you goof. Actually, Roger, just one more.
What the hell?
One more thing I forgot to mention. There's another track, and the reason I don't have it here is because it's not on a single or anything. It's on a soundtrack. But I also really like this track that they did with a rap group called Booyah Tribe on the Judgment Night soundtrack.
Okay.
A song called Another Body Murdered. And it's mostly, I would say it's mostly the rap band and Faith No More kind of backing them. But, you know, if you're into that rap rock combo, that heavy rap rock combo, check out Another Body Murdered from the Judgment Night soundtrack. It's got Slayer on it. I mean, that was a very popular soundtrack in 1992. It just pushed all the buttons for the rap rock crowd, which was, you know, peak.
Which is your crowd.
It's not necessarily my
No. I know, Michael, what you're trying to say. Don't be shy. I understand.
Anyway, that's the last thing that I just want to highlight out of this band's expansive, sprawling catalog that goes far beyond the albums. You have far more to look into beyond the albums if you like this band. And that's just one more reason why I suggest you go out and you buy yourself a Faith No More record. Take it from Grandpa Mike.
I'm going to quote Mike Lowry, quote unquote, rap sucks.
Tell us how you really feel, Mike.
Mike, don't hold back. I want to hear what you really feel. G-Tech, yes. Mike, you're welcome. Logan, Grant's Rap Warehouse.
Oh, there's the spinoff we've been waiting for.
All right, we're going to do a follow-up where we're looking at all of our favorite rap albums. All right, everybody. Well, the whole goal here was to turn you on to Faith No More, talk a little bit of music. We love to talk music. I don't have anybody to talk with, but I've got Mike to talk music with, so I feel good.
That means that it's time for us to figure out what we're doing next time.
I'll be in contact.
Yeah, I'll be talking.
But again, just trying to turn you on to stuff. Check out some Faith No More in the comments. If you like this band, we want to hear from you. If you don't like this band, we want to hear from you. But don't give me a thumbs down or anything like that because I did Faith No More. We are here just talking music, and that's all we're talking about. And what's this mean?
Grant's Rap Warehouse.
Did you say Grant's Rap Warehouse? Grant, not a Kanye guy? Well, I'll give you I got another show, but I'll give you a brief. My son. Now, Jay, don't judgmental. My son's 25. He'll be 26 in October. He was a guy who liked the Smiths. He liked... Oh, okay. You know the Smiths. He liked the Killers. He liked that stuff, okay? He started listening to Kanye, and he thinks Kanye, even though he might be a douche, as a musician and an artist, he thinks Kanye's absolutely brilliant. And that's a different age group. I can listen to Kanye, and maybe I don't get it, but he's 25. He thinks Kanye's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Just saying. So I guess I'm a Kanye guy. My son's a Kanye guy. Well, not really. No. I'm 20. Grant, no excuse. Should have raised him better. I did. What's wrong with the Smiths? Smiths are his favorite band, and he loves the Killers and the Strokes.
I like the Killers.
Logan, you like the Strokes? Look, Roger Stevens. He is brilliant. Yeah, he might be a nut job, but okay. Prog rock dude, that said, he's put out some incredible music. All right, I know Wizard, you might dislike him as a person, but if you separate it from douchebag to musician, evidently he's really got something. Wait a minute, Logan, don't get me started on the Smiths. And of course, Rand. Mike, I haven't talked with Mike since 1988. Well, I'm really disappointed in you, Rand, not keeping track with your buddy Mike.
Write a letter.
Oh my God. Listen to this. Grant, AARP stickers are available on Grant's Rock Warehouse. Yes, we have AARP stickers with the Grant's Rock Warehouse logo on them. Ernesto, I'm gonna take your wrench away, I think. I'm gonna take your wrench away. You're like a pain in the butt. Let me see if I can do that. Can I do it?
Ernesto says
I can put him in timeout. I'll put him in timeout.
Oh.
I did. I've never done that before.
Oh no.
Oh, Ernesto was banned and their comments were removed.
Oh my God. I've never seen that before.
Oh, I didn't know it was so crucial.
Thinks it's funny though.
Look at that. Well, I thought I'd try it, but I don't want Ernesto busting my balls. Come on.
No.
Look, I can't bring up that comment. Oh, that's so funny. All right, well, we're done anyway. Well, I thought I'd try it.
Don't forget to unblock them before the next show, though.
I don't know how to unblock them.
I think you have to do it from your YouTube page.
Oh. I'm bad. All right, everybody. It's fun talking Faith No More.
Yes.
Jay's laughing. I'm a monster. I am. Come on. I'm your host. Treat me nice. Check out Faith No More. I want to thank Mike Ladano for coming on tonight.
That was fun.
So much fun. I will have Mike and I will talk. We will have Mike on, what is this? Is this August? Maybe we can come up with, we might be able to come up with something at the end of the month. I'll see. Mike, think of some things. I'll think of some things. Look, Kyle. Oh my God. It just says 300 seconds. Oh, this is so much fun. All right.
Kyle, go
Michael,
Google some lyrics, man. Go Google some
God
lyrics.
dang. Go check out some Faith No More and check back with us.
Take care, guys.
All right, everybody. We'll see you. Keep it real. And Mr. Ladano, I will talk to you later, my friend. And we will cook up something next. All right, everybody. Have a good night.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll.